Welcome, listener, to Lost and Searching. I'm your host, Seven, and today we're chatting to Austin Okolo. Austin is an award-winning serial entrepreneur, the co-founder of one of the largest communities of young entrepreneurs in the UK called the Gen Z Club, and is a content creator working on an exciting project coming up soon that he didn't want me to reveal too much about. But depending on when you're seeing this, we'll just go find all of it out there already. And today is going to be a fairly vulnerable conversation, but also an energizing conversation, especially those who are kind of on the grind, so to speak, those who are kind of younger. But for those who maybe don't identify as Gen Z or as being under the age of 30, I think there's still something in here about understanding the way that the world looks and needs to look for the leaders, young leaders and aspiring leaders of the future, and where we all play a role. So be prepared to learn more about the kind of skills that young people need to be building, which of our systems are broken. Spoiler, it might be almost all of them, and how they need to be improved, more about our personal journeys, life lessons from failure, the fact that failure is a good thing in the first place, how to overcome feelings of self-doubt, why we sometimes look in the mirror and don't like the person that looks back at us, and a lot more. So, with that being said, let's get into it, and hope you enjoy the journey. Austin, what is your story?
My story. Where should we just start?
Where would you like to start?
A big bit ping pong here. My story, I see, like, from my holistic point of view, we should get into it deep in a second, but, I grew up in West London, to a Nigerian household, privileged how both our parents, my life. My dad's, he grew up in poverty, but he came to the UK and built a great life for himself and his family. But, the past, I'd say 18 years of my life, all I cared about was football. I wasn't a good professional footballer. So I started playing when I was like 7 years old. And I feel like I realized that I was better than a lot of my peers at that age. I mean, I was getting a lot of like trophies and medals for how good I was. I thought, I can't actually go into footballer because of how much I love football. But, I always knew that education is important. So I made sure that I was, and plus my parents were Nigerian, like which I mentioned. So I made sure that, I focused on my books when I studied. But, through that period of my life, I was doing a lot of untrue things I realizing. So I was selling clothes in school, clothes that I no longer wore, and clothes that my friends didn't want to wear. I did this Amazon FBA thing when I was 17, 16. Before I knew what Amazon FBA was, I went to a wholesaler and I bought like water bottles because I realized if I buy water bottles at a wholesale price and set retail price for more, and no one taught me these things, I just assumed. So I did that. And I started fashion brand when I was 18 years old. And that's when my life really entered the entrepreneurship world. It's been the same thing.
And how do you think that childhood shaped the person you've become since then? Everything from what you're doing and have done to who you've become and the person you show up as.
I think I've got an insane work ethic, and I used to hate that myself. I used to think that, oh yeah, like the aim isn't to work hard or to like work smart, etc. But I think it's both, and I think that can't help the work ethic. I just can't stop working. I'm an addict at this point. But I think that stemmed from a young age, where I was playing football. Like I was playing football all the time. I was training, playing constantly. When I want to make it, I was going on runs, doing all that kind of stuff. So I think my childhood taught me like, I don't know, like I think football taught me a lot. Growing up playing street football, I think that was a really good experience. I feel like, going and playing kids that are like 5 years old and 6 years old, and you gotta be tough. Do you know what I mean? You gotta be strong. Like you don't want to get pushed over. I think that taught me from an early age that I need to stand up for myself. Like I can't let anybody like bully me, if that makes sense. Like I need to be strong. I need to like go into things full focus. I think that, and I think if you think about, me now, as a young entrepreneur, being in the space now in the corporate world as very, very old, I think that helped me to see older kids and not be intimidated by them. I think that, you know, playing football, street football, all that kind of stuff, I think it helped shape me to not be intimidated by people that are older than me, stronger than me. So I think it helped me, like, it gave me drives. So wanting to be a footballer gave me drives and motive because this is what I wanted. So from an early age, I always had that drive and vision and motive, which I now transferred into international. And it taught me not be intimidated, you know, just stand like the people that after all did because, you know, in football, like, I don't want people to laugh at me for getting pushed over or that kind of stuff. You know, I gave me that kind of strength.
And do you enjoy showing up with such a work ethic?
I really don't, you know, like, I
You
don't,
don't?
you know, honestly, my least compliment is, oh, you're so hardworking. I hate that compliment so
Why?
much. I think it's a medicine.
Interesting.
Because I think that, you know, someone skill talks quite a lot. Like, hard work doesn't correlate to success. So I don't see it as a compliment. They are Austin, like, hardest workers I know, so hardworking. Because there's people, as you know, that are, say, some of your cleaner, for example, not just for anyone or a bin man. They work very hard, but they're not necessarily the most successful. You know, people have had parents. Look at, you know, maybe my cousin in Africa. I'll argue that they work hard to get to work, try to go to school, whatever, but they're not also successful. So I don't believe you saying I'm hardworking is a compliment. Because one, I feel like, you know, we should want to work hard with our goals, but two, I don't think hard work correlates to success. So I don't think using I'm hardworking is a compliment. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd rather you talk about what I achieved, because if you work hard but don't achieve anything, it doesn't mean you could be going very fast in all directions. Do you know what I mean?
Got you. You have achieved quite a few things, though.
Which is what I'd rather than say than say, oh, you're hard work. That's, I feel like anyone will be hardworking. I don't think that makes you unique to say I'm hard work. I think many people are hardworking. I don't think that's a compliment. Do you know what I mean? I just actually give it. I don't think people should be lazy. I think it should be a given. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I see it. That's in my opinion.
How does this play into your perspective on what a great leader looks like?
I think a leader is someone that leads from the front. And I know you think that a lot, but I truly like embody that to the maximum. I think that as your leader, you need to lead by example. And like, obviously, I'm really use football because, you know, football is what I love and I know. But I look at, like, you know, one of Liverpool's greatest captains, a guy called Steven Gerrard, and he literally was captain, but he used to lead from the front. Like, there was a famous final where we were 3-0 down at April Milan, and he single-handedly brought us back in the cup and we won it as underdogs. But throughout his whole life, he steps up. I think a leader to me is somebody that is in the field with his men. Even like, I read Elon Musk book, and like, people tell Elon Musk it's not possible. He'll be like, he'll go out himself and be like, it is possible. And he'll literally go out there and do it himself. I think for me, that is a leader. Someone that's doing it, sure that it can be done. I feel like when you're not a leader, people tell you that things can't be done. The leader will be like, give it to me and show you that it can be done. And there's so many stories like that in Elon Musk's book where he did exactly that with Steve Jobs, where they told him it couldn't be done and he went on to do it. Like, even recently, so a little side quest. I don't know, I'm contracting now. And you know, I've achieved quite a lot of success in my early years. So one of the plans for this was to get ambassadors and do some, you know, put heavy metal marketing, where we're proper like in the streets, go to people in Brighton to tell them about the app and tell them to download it. And so I got some of my friends and some ambassadors to come with me along the journey. And then, you know, I was doing other things at the time. And these ambassadors, they were telling me that, oh, Austin, like, it's hard, we can't do it, people are ignoring us, all those kind of things. I said, I went in there and I got about 10 times in 10 minutes. Because I was like, and I said, look, I was like, give it to me, let me go do it. And I literally did it. And I said, what's your excuse? Because it's important that the people that want to do things, I'm showing them that I can do it, can be done. So there's no excuse. You just saw me do it, you can do it. So I'm not having, oh, I can't be done. You literally saw me get 10 in 10 minutes.
There's a hustling, like an activation energy there where you show up with a confidence. And someone I was speaking to on this show recently, he went through one of his quotes that's something along the lines of, whether you believe you deserve a seat at the table or you believe you don't, you're right.
Yeah.
So how did you develop that perspective that you deserve to get the results? Because it's often what's in here that is holding us back more than anything else.
Well, I didn't, if I'm being honest, like, we vulnerable. There's a time where I didn't believe in me. Like, you know, I feel like everyone does this, where the first, I'd say the first 5 years entrepreneurship, I didn't make real money. and the first maybe 2 or 3 years I didn't make that much. So I say the first 2 or 3 years, I asked the question, am I someone that can make money as an entrepreneur?
I know the
Do
feeling.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, so those times where I was like, and even like people like my dad was saying how like, Austin, you're great, like people like, because at the time I was doing a lot of great things, or like, it looked good. I was, winning certain awards, or, I was, doing great things, and it was it looked positive. And I thought, oh, I was go through this, but it wasn't making any money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was young, but yeah, I wasn't making money. So there's a time where I questioned, am I even able to make money as an entrepreneur? Like, if I've got that ability, there was, I'll be honest, I did question that, but
What changed?
I just gave myself evidence that I can. And I think that's key. Like, I feel like confidence needs to come from evidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm confident to do certain things yet, because I've done it. So the reason why you guys lack confidence to post social media or do things because you haven't done it before, which is normal. Like anybody would, like, talk about imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome often comes from the fact that this is your first time doing it. You're gonna feel like an imposter because you lack that evidence. But I think for me, because when I started to make money and I kept, ignoring what my brain was telling me, when I started to make money, I said, you know what, maybe I can. Do you know what I'm saying? And I started to read myself a lot more. So I think it was giving myself evidence. And that's the best I can give you, is that I don't want to sit here and say, oh, believe in yourself. Give yourself a reason to believe in yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was key for me.
Do you know what? There's a book it's up behind us somewhere called Sapiens. It's out there. It's Yuval Harari. And in it, he describes how humanity is a really young species.
Yeah.
Like lions had millions of years to build the confidence that they were the masters of the savannah. You know what I mean? Whereas we're relatively young. We were at the middle of the food chain for most of our existence. It's only the last few, maybe 100,000 years that we've kind of been towards the top of the food chain. And only very recently that we really have like kind of quote unquote mastered the world. And so we don't have this confidence baked into us as a species. So we spend our whole lives trying to prove ourselves, right? We're a young species. And this is interesting to me because today we're talking about young people gaining confidence in leadership, but our whole species is actually lacking confidence until something changes, until we hit a trigger point or we notice a shift or we have evidence, as you said.
No, you hit it on the head. And I feel like, as a species, we are relatively new. But, you got to give yourself that evidence. And that's the only way I can really be confident.
And so you go out there, you put your foot forward with this kind of hustling energy, this creation energy, and you go out like a lion to lead your people. What happens then? What happens next?
When you go out there,
you go out there, you make a noticeable, tangible, evidential difference, if that's a word. You see the evidence of the impact you can make. Does everything just suddenly get easier?
No, because you got because I think with me, I've been privileged to have friends that do much better than me. So I feel like with me, it's like even now, I feel like I'm having touched the surface because of how successful I have people around me have been. I feel like you need people further ahead than you to keep yourself humble, which is why I'm extremely humble. Like I don't honestly, I genuinely don't think I'm that amazing. I really don't. I feel like I haven't touched the surface of what I go on to achieve or what I want to achieve. You know what I'm saying? So, I think it's just about the game, the journey. Do you know what I mean? I think for me, just like the game. So it's one of them ones where like, of course, say I want to make £1 million. I haven't got there yet, but obviously I haven't got evidence I made £1 million before. But it's more about like the illusion. So I think what's next is like, go find out, can I do something? Let's go find out. Do you know what I mean? But also, I'm at a point now where it's like, no, let me rephrase that. I feel like when you get that evidence first, it's not about evidence that you don't do your thing. It's more about evidence that you can do whatever you want. So, for example, like recently, but it's what I always say. So, if you look at my species right now is picking Gary. And then and I recently bought my dream car, Jaguar. And with these things, it's not about the fact that I met Gary V or I bought Jaguar. That's not important. It's the fact that I had a vision to achieve something and I achieved it. And that same way I had a vision to buy my dream car, Jaguar, or the same way I wanted to meet Gary V one day. It's that same mindset that I can use to make anything else I want. So it's more about the most powerful, I think the most powerful thing you can ever do in your life is having a vision of something and achieving it. That is so much more than actually achieving itself. It's more about the fact that you got a vision of something, you want it, and you get it. And when you get that, it's almost as if like whatever I want now, I can go and get. I feel like with me, that's where it is now, where it's not about like I need confidence, I need evidence, I need £1 million. It's more about the fact that I've already done things that I've wanted to do many times. I've given myself that proof that Austin, you can go and do whatever you want. You've done it. I feel like now as well, angle of I've shown myself I can do what I set my mind to do. Let's go get it. Let's go get everything else.
I'm not waiting for someone else to give me the permission. I've given myself the permission.
Exactly.
There's a quote I love from Alexander the Great. I'm not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I'm afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. Because who's going to go out and make something happen is the lion, but that's the person that needs to be leading the charge, and in many ways can be on the front line, almost walking the walk, basically, being who you say you would be, which requires some integrity, right? You can't say one thing and then go do another.
Facts. Like, honestly, that's the thing I'm the biggest believer on, where it's like, people that I know that are successful, like, not that you get arrogant, but you get errors like self-confident. Like when you say you're going to do something, you actually do it. What that does for you internally is, it's like, it's magical.
And
Like that's how I say, really become a leader. It's always magical, where it's like being able to say you want to do something. Like as I mentioned, me, Gary Vee, or buying my dream car, is like, it's not about the object. It's nothing about. It's the fact that the feeling you get from wanting something and going out there to get it, it's unbeatable what it turns you in. Because it makes you feel like you're actually so cool. Like I've done that. What else do I want? Do you know what I mean? I feel like if you look at all the great people, the Elon Musk, the Steve Jobs, they have that, where it's like they have the belief of like, whatever I want, I'm going to get it. Like Elon Musk is an example. Like he wants to get to Mars. Like I'm going to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like he wants to be he wants to electrical cars, or to save the pollution of electrical cars. He's gonna go and do it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like he has that element of like, when you've shown yourself you can do whatever you want, like it does something to you that no one can describe.
what do you think most young people today are looking for in their leaders, from your experience?
I'll be honest, this is a hard, difficult question to answer, because young people is such a broad term. I feel like, Gen Z get painted lazy, whatever. But in reality, I host events for young, as you know, young professional, young entrepreneurs, and they're not lazy at all. So with that question, it depends what you're asking. I think there's some people who are expecting the world to fall on their feet, and other people who just want. But it is interesting. So your question, answer that. Ask me again.
The first one.
Yeah, that when you ask me, like, what do Gen Z look for in a leader?
What do Gen Z look for in a leader?
Okay, so I think it depends. There's some Gen Z, like myself and others, who look for just direction and they can figure the rest of it out, which I think is just full of. But I think I do think the majority of Gen Z are looking for everything. So, for example, like a question that I get a lot is, how do I stay motivated? But I think if you got to ask them how you stay motivated, this isn't for you. Because if you're looking for somebody else to keep motivated, you can't win.
Sounds like, if that's the case, it sounds like we might struggle with focus.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I do. I think that Gen Z get distracted easily because there's so many more options now. And I think I've been there. Whereas Gen Z don't give themselves enough time to actually do something for long enough to see the results of their labor.
So, in your own words then, how do you stay motivated?
I think I can't answer that question because it's in me. Like, even when I'm not motivated, I'm going to do the work. Like, I don't believe you need to stay motivated to succeed. I think that's wrong. There's times where I'm not motivated, I still do what I need to do. I don't have a choice. I don't have the luxury of only do this when I'm motivated. That's not my luxury. It's many times where I'm like, I cannot be asked to leave my bed and I get up and do what I have to do. That is, for me, it doesn't matter. You don't need motivation to do work. We're not animals. We're not lions. You know what I'm saying? We're humans. That you got to just do it. That's how, for me, I don't stay motivated. I just do it.
You're describing the difference between motivation and discipline.
Yeah.
And so that begs a new question. Do you think that young people, or that a significant portion of young people now, lack discipline?
No, yes.
Yes.
I genuinely believe, yeah. Like, I say to myself a lot, I don't actually think I'm better than a lot of people. I don't think I'm that much more talented than a lot of people. I don't think I'm anything really special. I just think that I'm able to get punched in my mouth and keep going.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Genuinely, I didn't.
I feel like a total dumbass most of the time,
Well,
but I'm like,
100%.
I'll just keep going. Like,
100%. Like, I won't say I make so many mistakes all the time, but I just learn from them quickly. I think the difference between me and other people is the fact that I started my journey when I was 18 years old, and I've been through hell and back, but I kept going. That's really it. And people hear that, yeah, but I don't think people actually understand that that's literally the case. Where I've been through some absolutely tormental times, but I just kept going. That all the
what?
times here where I just think if you look at my day to day, right, I do so much on a day to day basis. It's almost impossible for me not to win because whilst you're procrastinating, like, it's this way that I'll share. So I had a meeting with somebody the other day, and he asked me, basically, he wants to start a fashion brand. He's my age, right? I think he was 24, and he says he's procrastinated a fashion brand since he was 19, so that's 5 years. So he basically wanted to call me to get motivation to start this brand, and I said to him, I'm going to say something to you. Yeah, it's gonna hit home. You know me and you started my fashion brand at the same time. I started when I was like 18, 19. You got the idea at 19. So me and you both got the idea of fashion brand at the exact same year. So we're here now. We both got the idea. We're here. The difference is, yeah, I didn't have all the answers, but I just did it. Punched my mouth, kept walking forward, kept moving. You're still thinking about it. So I'm here now. You're here. You could have been here with me, but the difference is, you're still thinking about it. So what I think the difference is between a lot of people is the fact that I just do and figure it out later. And if I make a mistake, I learn from it. Whereas not a lot of people actually do. Do you know what I mean? I feel like in my day, no matter how I feel, I'm gonna get up there and I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna post on social media. I'm gonna DM some people. I'm gonna ask for these for help. I'm gonna reach help. I'm gonna, you know what I'm saying? I'm always doing something. So it all compounds. Whereas a lot of people just stay and don't move forwards. So I think the massive issue for our generation is that one, they're too emotional almost. Like they wait for motivation on the perfect time to do something. Whereas the people that go out there and win are people that just go out there and just go and do. Do you know what I mean? So this thing, I think, is a massive issue where people believe they need to be motivated to act. How much they motivated? Awful question. Just go and do it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know, how I get functional shit. There's many times where I'm not motivated. I want to literally almost kill myself because sounds are so difficult. But I just go and do it. I'm like, I just got to do what I got to do. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's less sometimes a question of what do I do, and more of a question of how am I getting in my own way? Because if all I really need to do is put one foot forward and then the next one and then the next one, I don't need the plan, the roadmap. I don't need the whole business plan. I don't need everything I'm doing, but I still don't even take that first step. Why not? And there's something in here that's getting in that way.
Yeah.
What in your experience is that? What is that for a lot of us?
It's a good point, because I read a parable one time about get through a forest, and it says something like just one step at a time. Because if you're in complete darkness, what can you do? The only thing you can do is take one step. Do you know what I mean? And I thought that's the key. Even now, like my friend said to me, like, what's your vision? I said, bro, right now, I'm gonna get through the week. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like even to finish my story there, so, you know, I'm not running off the important story, which I didn't finish. So yeah, he said to me, how do I stay motivated? You know, I also choosing to that find about motivation. And I said that we got the idea of a hashman at the exact same time. The exact same time we got the idea. I'm 24 now, you're 24. In that 5 years that you procrastinating, I started the company, I registered the company, I won some awards, I made some money, I lost some money, British EQ teachers, I made some mistakes, learned some mistakes, started a new business, made some mistakes in that business, started another business, got up business. All in the time, yeah, you are procrastinating. So the difference is, yeah, you did nothing for 5 years, just thought about it. You waited for motivation. I just did. The only difference is, yeah, between me and you is that I just started it. You know what I mean? And when you think about how insane that actually is, where you got the idea at the same time, we're probably on the same level. The difference is, you wasted 5 years of time. I used my 5 years of time to be where I am now. But in reality, you're still at this stage now as a 19-year-old, but I'm at this point now. Do you know what I mean? Just because your eyes have started walking forward. So that's what it is. I literally walked forward one step at a time. I figured it out as I went along.
You say you've been to hell and back. Give us some examples.
Oh God, where did you start? What? Where did you even start?
What does hell look like to you, and what did it give you? How did you walk out on the other side, or what did you walk out with on the other side?
I think hell was really like, you know, I was unsure as having no money.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the reality. Like, you know, and I love hearing these stories because like everyone's going through it. I'm not gonna lie, like every entrepreneur that I know has been a point where they actually broke for a long period of time. Like everyone, some people still are going through it. You know, I went to an event the other week, a Noise Bank event, and there's one guy on there that brought I think 7-figure business at this point. But he quit his job for this business. And he shared a story about how you know, he had no money and he didn't make revenue, I think for 5 years, I think, because not even profit revenue for 5 years. And now, so basically what he does here, he's got a product that basically if you put it in your clothing, it doesn't it lasts longer, if that makes sense. So he pitched that the next, you know, these big organizations. And, you know, thankfully 6 months before he ran out of money completely, he got his first deal. But he said that he worked with like next other brands. There's one man he doesn't work with right now. There's John Lewis. And the reason why he doesn't work with John Lewis, because the day that he was meant to pitch, he couldn't afford the petrol. He pitched them, and that's why he didn't get the brand, because he couldn't afford the petrol to pitch in that base. He couldn't. And I've been there, you know, like if I share some, I'm trying to think of some stories that I didn't share, but there's times where like I've had to go to meetings and I'm thinking, how am I even afford to go to this meeting? You know what I mean? Like generally, I'm thinking like I can't afford to go to this meeting. So so yeah, I just feel like not having money for a prolonged period of time because you're trying to build what you're building. And the amount of reason of yours, I think I've been through that a couple times. So I think that's when it's like, it's tough. And I feel like those times there, it's like, it's literally a thing of one day at a time. I feel like I've learned now, where now I'm very present. I've had to teach myself to be present. Because when you can't see the end goal, you can't see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, all you literally have is one step at a time. I've been there many times where like I cannot see the end of the tunnel, light in the tunnel. All I can do is focus on today and get through today. And I think that's when life is tough. When you literally got to think about, you got to make it through each day. Do you know what I mean? So
Humans are not very good at that, you know? So it requires practice and it requires resilience, because that's what anxiety is. That's what fear is. It's looking forward and going, I don't know what might be there and it might scare me. And then, you know, I know this feeling very well as something goes wrong, or, you know, you look at the end of that runway and you just almost unconsciously on autopilot start scrolling LinkedIn for like jobs.
yeah,
And it's like you slow down, stay committed to what I believe in, but it just happens because it's so natural. And it's that, I think the skill is in that moment of catching yourself, and instead of allowing yourself to divert, staying on that path. But it isn't a quick and easy solution.
it's not. I feel like you need to go through it. Like,
Yeah.
you need to go through those times. But that's where you learn the most about yourself. That's where you build your respect for myself. The reason why I've got so much respect for myself and not because I know what I've been through to get to where I've got to. And I feel like that's the most powerful thing you can have. Whereas I know what I've been to get to where I've got to. So if I ever go through a difficult period of time, but that's like, been there before. One of my favorite things was a guy called Samuel Fascia, and I love it. It's like something like, oh, how's it doing? Something like, he's like, the trenches doesn't scare me. I was made in them. If that makes sense. I feel like that's and I think that's what I went through. Is like if I ever have the trenches, it's like I was made in the trenches, so it doesn't scare me. It's like Batman. I feel like he said that I was made in the dark.
Yes. That is Batman.
So
Yeah.
I'm used to dark. I'm made it. And I feel like that's what it is. When entrepreneur, when you go through certain times, a tough time can't humble you. A tough time can't humble you because you've been through it at that cool respect. I mean, I feel like when you made it through that, I promise you, like no one can knock that, because you know what you've been through to get where you got to, and that is an undeniable feeling. I feel like that feeling. I think that's the most powerful thing, where I know what I've been to, where I got to. There's nothing you can say to me that can really harm me.
You're often bridging the gap between young people and people in leadership positions. What are the biggest advantages you see young people today who are aspiring to be leaders having on that journey? What's the biggest advantage you see us having?
Oh, so much. I feel like opportunity. I think it's the time where, you know, a lot of corporates were like, I feel like I can imagine 20 years ago, there's no LinkedIn, there's no social media. So jobs are fully limited towards like who you know personally, who's in your network. Whereas now, you go on LinkedIn, there's like so many jobs available on there. Do you know what I mean? There's so many companies you never heard of that have got like, because there are companies out there that have got loads of employees, but you never heard of.
Mhm.
You literally have so many more companies now that you never heard of 20 years ago that you can literally work for. So option-wise, and then you've got the option of actually leaving the UK to work in Thailand or Dubai or South Africa. Do you know what I mean? So there's literally so many opportunities out there. I think that's the first thing is that opportunity. Number two is like education. Even today, I was speaking to one lady on my podcast, and she taught herself at 16, 17 how to make websites, and she ended up charging people a couple £100 to build websites when she was younger. But even my fashion brand, I learned how to. I built most of my fashion brand on YouTube. I typed in how to build a website on YouTube. Let's copy what it did. I think that the through the self-taught generation, and I strongly believe that. Whereas like, you can learn almost anything just from going on YouTube or all the other places. I think there's a massive opportunity for young people, and I always say that you only need to come of it to live an amazing life. Like, I'm a link to business now a little bit, where it's like, if you're a small business, right, and say you work with corporates, say some of your market is companies, yeah. Let's even say your market is for businesses. Let's say for example you do like recruitment, yeah. Your market, or let's say you need to, let's say websites. Let's say you build websites. So in the UK, I think there's like 5 million small businesses, something like that. In total, how many companies are there saying in the UK are? It's maybe like there's millions of companies. You fully only need about 10 companies to make a decent living. So if you've got a good price, a good product, a good price. Same example, you're charging, I don't know, let's say 10K a month. You need about 10 companies, say 10K a month, and you are going to be extremely comfortable.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean?
Suddenly you're a millionaire. Yeah.
Exactly. And if you think about how many companies are actually out there, where it's like, there's millions of companies out there. You're suddenly out of those millions and millions of millions, you need 10 paying you X amount of money a month. And I don't think you understand what that actually looks like, what I'm saying. That's insane opportunity.
The math is tiny. It will depend a little bit on your market. Like,
Of course.
in the UK, we have, oh man, hundreds of thousands of companies that get started every year, and most of them are made dormant or fail the next year. We have another hundreds of thousands that
Even if
also
you look at
close
companies
each
that are
year.
making millions of pounds a year, I'm pretty sure there's millions of companies making millions a year. Like, I mean that. Like, even if you narrow it down, just go 50 to 100. So that's 100 companies making probably over a billion. 100.
Crazy.
100.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Just get one of those.
I challenge you on that a little bit, because I know some people will be skeptical. However, what I really appreciate about this is the mindset you have, because it's the idea that the pie is that it's not a pie. It's not here's my percentage, and if I have more, you have to have less. It's that
100%.
we can all eat
100%.
if we do what we need to do.
100 million%. I believe that it's truly abundant. Like, as I mentioned, if you say, obviously, I know it's not every situation. But if I said you got one company paying you 10K a month, or even, I don't know, a couple thousand a month, yeah. You need 10. Say you got 10 people 10K a month, yeah, a year. So one company a year, that's like what, 12, 120,000 a year.
Yes.
Times that by 10, that's what you, that's 10. I'd have my 10, you have your 10.
Yeah.
Someone else doesn't have his 10. Do you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden we're all millionaires. And so honestly, I truly believe, yeah, there's so much abundance out there. Look, I even saw a post recently how like cheese stinker companies climate change work, and people saying how like he thought, yeah, this is a bad idea. Why are we collaborating with Rocket Pet? But they realized that their customers actually bought both of them. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I've heard these stories.
so the thing
before.
with like our clothes that I'm probably wearing, I think this is like MDV, this is like stuff from other you know, thing like I wear multiple clothes. It's not even wear for one brand. I'm wearing multiple brands. So I feel like the issue, people spend too much time on like trying to knock down someone else's building, rather than just building up your own building. And I truly believe there's sort of opportunity out there for so many people. Maybe if you want to be a $1 billion company, then you can talk about market share and whatever. But if you want to be comfortable, make 6-7 figures, I truly believe you can do that with a little bit of the pie.
On this journey many of us will be on to become the best person we can be, to grow or become a leader, whether that's building a business or any other realm that might look like for an individual. we all grow up with biases, predispositions, perspectives that might hold us back. What are the most common that you see or that you see Gen Z having that are really the wrong perspectives to be having, in your opinion?
I'll get the easy one. Like, and this is like, honestly, like, I feel like success, yeah, it's not easy, but it's simple. I was going to put, like, it's not easy, but it's simple. And I'll tell you why. It's all about reps and time. Like, generally, the reason why I'm at a position where I am today, let's think about it. I started until I was 18. I'm 24 now. That's 6 years of daily hustle. Are you telling me if I hustle, if you did, no, if you're telling me if you hustle every single day for 6 years, you will not have some form of success? Of course you will. And all the people around me that are successful, they've been in the game for a long time. The only reason why I haven't been in the game for a long time is because of my age. But people don't understand, I started young. So I started when I was 18, I'm 24 now, 6 years. So of course I've got a nice car now and I've got some success at 24. But that's irrelevant when I started at 18. So I've got 6 years experience. And I believe if anybody with 6 years experience in any sort of industry will be somewhat successful. I don't think you understand that people that you look at, every single person you look at that is somewhat successful, they've all been in the game for a while. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I look at, like, you know, my friends, for example, I had a boy that was lived in Canary Wharf at 18 years old, dropshipping. His son was 14. So that's 4 years. You know, I look at some other, like, whenever I hear about, you know, like, look at Cortez, massive man. You know, he's got pictures of him, like, 6 years ago, growing the brand. Like, I urge you to look at every single person you look up to in the space here that's doing well financially or do well for themselves, and look at how many years he put into it. If your thing is always like 6 years, 5 years, like this point, I feel like people in the fan now, yeah, that so much of success here is just starting early and being and doing the daily reps. It's almost common sense.
We live in the era of instant gratification. Right? Anything you want, I can get it now. I need to order something for this podcast, eBay, done,
Exactly.
easy. You know what I mean? If I can't have that success within a month, it's too much. And at some point that becomes pervasive because our brains are wired to seek those hits of, like, let's say, dopamine. And if success isn't really going to give us dopamine, it's going to give us other good feelings, but they're feelings that take longer to arrive.
I think the biggest thing is the fact that people look at the end result and they don't see what actually goes into it. That makes sense. So I feel like, because people are right on the fence. Right now, easy look at me now, you're 24 years old yet, and with what I've achieved. However, they don't understand yet is actually, like, I don't think people actually deep when people say to me. I feel like advice gets taken now here all the time now, yeah, at least it's needed. But I don't think people understand yet how long 6 years actually is. Do you know what I mean? I don't think people understand yet how long 6 years is. So obviously, like, I like the fact that now people look up to me and I've achieved some amazing things. I want to achieve more. But it's been 6 years. Do you know how long 6 years is? 6 years, I didn't even have a bed. You know what I mean? I've been through 4 cars in that time. So I think that I urge you, yeah, all the people you look up to that are on social media with these, you know, nice vehicles and whatever, and making decent money or have built decent, have had impacts. Ask them how long have they been doing it for. Like, just do your research, please, and figure out how long, and then compare that number to you. I really urge them to do that. I really do. And they'll be surprised at the fact that, wow, like, he's actually done it for 5 years. I've done it for 2 months. You know what? Maybe chill a little bit. So I think that's the biggest thing you often get wrong yet is not understanding yet how much time plays into. And I feel like one thing that I read it in Ray Dalio's book, actually, and we can learn so much from nature. So if you look at a tree, for example, with a tree, yeah, when you plant a tree in the ground, it doesn't matter how much you water it. It doesn't matter how much heat you give it. You can give it all the water in the world you want. Time is what it needs to grow. I think that's the same with our lives and success. You can start today. You can read 20 books in one day. That's not to prevent the fact that time is needed for you to grow everything to grow. And time is the most underrated thing I believe Gen Z has. I don't think people understand yet how, if you commit to yourself to something for a long enough time, you will win. I promise you.
You mentioned a minute ago being very focused on the people we look up to. Who do you look up to? Who are your role models?
So growing up, a big one, I say, like, my dad's, I understand, like, you know, coming from poverty, and it's like almost with him is like, I need to achieve more than he's achieved, because if he's starting from -100, and I'm starting from +50, then he gave me a head start.
What's the excuse?
It's exactly
Yeah.
that's the first one. I mean, the second one is I had some people that shaped me my career young age, and I'm putting to them like Gary Vee was a big one, Eric Thomas. These are people I used to follow religiously when I was younger, and they always raised me. Like I feel like if I would love to have a great dad year, but if you haven't got a father in your life, there's always people on social media that are giving that almost like your parents. Like I'll be real, like people like Gary Vee and Eric Thomas, they literally raised me. Like, I used to listen to Gary Vee every single day of my life for like probably 5 years. Eric Thomas had a podcast. I listened to that podcast every single day for about 2 to 3 years, every single week, sorry, for 2 to 3 years. So like I'm constantly hearing this information, learning things, all that kind of stuff. So these are people that fed the information to me. Like gave me that raw advice. Like Gary Vee taught me from a very early age. I didn't do anything wrong until the age of 30 and still live a great life. Whereas in a generation where I thought I was a failure at 19 because making the money to run my business, I had this guy shouting in my ear saying, bro, you can literally do anything wrong until you're 30 and go on to have a great life. I thought that's what I need to hear. That's what I'm telling the candidates now. Where Gary Vee always says like, what he was doing when he was 34, working for his dad. Do you know what I mean? But now he's, a multi-millionaire at 40-something years old. But when he was at least 10 years older than me, he was working for his dad. So I'm even ahead of Gary Vee when he was my age. Do you know what I mean? But people take into reality. So I feel like people need real advice, which I also do. I feel like right now, you said before, we live a generation of nonsense, fluffy advice. Like we begin the podcast, what's your advice to be successful? Be open, be transparent. What does that mean for the young person that's working on the fashion brand? He's in the sale. In the sale in 60 days.
Yeah.
They'll say to him, be authentic.
It's not particularly practical, is
Exactly.
it? It's like it's so high level. It's why with this show, I've wanted us to get super practical. Like, how do we break down? How do we show up?
I think that's what it is. Where I seek practical advice from it. I still do to this day. Where I seek practical advice, and if it's not practical, I don't want to listen to it. I think now there's so much information out there that it's a lot of feel good advice, like inspiration. Inspiration is fleeting. Whereas I had people like Gary Vee giving me strategy for marketing. He's telling me that I had to post 50 to 100 times a day. Like he drilled it into me where you got to post 50 to 100 times a day to go on social media. So when I built my comeback, changed my life ultimately, I was posting 4 times a day on there. I was following that practical advice. I think that that's what we need as a generation, more of like less of the people that have made money that aren't telling you how they made it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those people that they're on social media and they're saying that I'm so rich, successful. Are they telling you how they made it? If not, why are you following them? Obviously, because it's nice to see, congratulations, but like people that I followed growing up, people that are giving me that real game. You know what I mean? And to this day, I follow people that give me that real game.
It's because I think of that instant gratification, like ecosystem that we live in. I go onto social media, I'm in my echo chamber already because that's how the algorithm works. Generally keeps you within the sphere of what you like already or what you're comfortable with. So if someone gives you something that makes you feel good, even if it's not practical, it feels good. And so you keep watching it and you take that as the gospel, not realizing that it hasn't given you anything enormously useful. Whereas Gary Vee, like, I know people who don't like folks like him, and it's usually because he feels like too abrasive, too in your face. But it's like, that's the point, is it's kind of breaking that dopamine hit. It's breaking the feel good stuff because sometimes you need that to get, so that the message actually gets through.
Well, that, getting like 8th place trophies and all that kind of stuff, man, like, it's a killer. Like, even me now, I was like, people need to be comfortable feeling uncomfortable. That's a massive where. And I think that's a big thing that's helped me, is that I've been uncomfortable my whole life. I'm constantly putting myself in uncomfortable situations. I'm doing things that I feel uncomfortable constantly. So if I'm always being doing the uncomfortable, I'm gonna go to quicker than you. Because I'm learning, I'm getting comfortable doing uncomfortable things quicker than you are because I know it's uncomfortable. And I think too many people, don't like to feel uncomfortable. Like, for example, a lot of people might not follow me because the advice I give you might hit home a little bit. People will watch this podcast, rather watch something that is a bit fluffy because they don't want to look in the mirror and be like, oh my God, like, I'm not what I want to be. It's hard to face that. I think that people don't want, I feel like to answer the question, it's more people don't want uncomfortable advice. Even to this day, like, I do my Okolo show, my new podcast I started, the guy that I'm doing it with, he gave me the most brutal feedback ever. Like, he didn't even say anything else good on the podcast. He said, this was bad, this was bad, this was bad, this was bad. And I need that. Now, that's the only way I can really grow. It didn't feel good at all. Or that, like it stung a little bit, but it's like, I how I want to grow. Oh yeah, Austin, that was great. Well done. Or the next one. I wouldn't have learned anything. I feel like people need being comfortable now. You getting that real, honest, uncomfortable feedback. And to this day, I get punched in the mouth so much. But that's how I really grow up. No, I share a story, and I've not shared this before, yeah, but this is what's actually led me to become better with a lot of bands I work with. So, was one guy I met at university. I graduated this point. I met him at an event. I met him at an event in Brighton, which is where my university was. And then, I met him. I started to tell him what I do, all that kind of stuff. And he messaged me like a week later on LinkedIn. And he said to me that we're doing some sort of research thing, and I want your help with it. We want to get some Gen Zs to give their feedback on it. You got a big audience. Let's work together. So I closed the door with him for I think a couple thousand to do this work. And at that time, yeah, I was so arrogant. I think everyone's on my ass, and I thought I was placed I sold out like 12 events in a row. I just thought I was a guy. I thought I was untouchable. I was doing all these things like so. I had this idea where it's like, I'm doing research for this guy. I'm not going to pay anybody to do the research. I'm going to convince them that there gives us opportunity to basically use this app. Like I made it sound like the people that I needed for the research, I'm doing a favor. Does that make sense? So I framed that as like, you're getting this unique opportunity to learn about this app before it's out yet. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To critique this app. I was like, genius. I could save costs here on not having to pay people for the research, all that kind of stuff. I'll never forget, yeah. So we did the event now. I got like 20, 30 kids to come down and give this research for this app. Wasn't an app, it was like an app, and give research. And the aim was, yeah, you use the app, then you do a survey about it, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, this is great, they're doing the app, they're getting their research, and they're going away. And I'll never forget, so we had a full-up meet with the company, like maybe like a week later. Now we're into it saying, I can't wait for the guy to tell me how amazing it was. She was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was awful. Like, the feedback was dreadful. The responses have been like, we've got like one-word responses. Some people even do the forms. I'd even check to see who did the form. I just assumed that everyone in the room did it. You know what I mean? So it was awful for them. So they wanted to get a refund because people didn't do the app. Mainly because, look, I didn't pay them to do it, right? So I made it seem like they're getting an opportunity, but because they weren't paid to do it, so they didn't give the proper feedback. The company got awful feedback. The people that attended, they weren't annoyed because I framed it to be something there wasn't. So everyone, just a whole shit show, because the people that came along were annoyed because they thought they were going to go test out this made a new app, which wasn't that. I was using them as pawns for research. These guys were annoyed because they didn't get the research from the people. So it was just a shit show. And that humbled me because I let that guy down. Someone that trusted me, I let him down so badly. And since then, every company I work with now, yeah, I over-deliver. Honestly, like, any company I work with, there's times where I literally over-deliver every single company I work with. Because the pain I felt from letting him down, I never want to feel it again. But that came from getting that real, honest kick in my mouth. Whereas if I didn't get that, I would have been thinking, oh, yeah, rosy days. I think a lot of people haven't been kicked in the mouth enough. But it's like in boxing. Whereas until you get punched in the face, people always say, yeah, getting punched in the face changes you as a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's saying until everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Is that what I think? It's Muhammad Ali? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like getting punched in the mouth, yeah, whether it's theoretically or literally, it changes you. And I feel like with me, I've been punched in my mouth so many times now, yeah, where it's like, I grow so much quicker because I learned the hard stuff quickly. That makes sense.
The world is changing a lot very quickly. A lot of the challenges we've discussed so far are not challenges that were around 20 years ago. It would have been different, right? And every generation's got something a little bit different, but ours are coming so fast. What are some of the changes you're observing about the world, both good and bad, if those are the right words? Maybe exciting and scary are better words. How do you think leaders need to adapt to some of those changes?
I honestly, I feel like these next 10 years, it's going to be really interesting. I really do. I think the amount of people that are, I think lifestyle is a massive thing in Gen Z. Like, having a certain lifestyle, achieving a certain lifestyle, not saving your money, not investing your money, all these kind of things. But I feel like a lot of people being safe right now, look at the fact that people are staying home for a lot longer. That makes sense. I feel like 10, 50 years ago, you know, people should have moved that by now, all that kind of stuff. So I think, I feel like there's gonna be a point where people are gonna be like, at least she was at my house. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas I feel like now is that people have got money because they haven't got many overheads. I think now Gen Z are taking a lot more risks. There's a lot more risk than before. That makes sense. Because of the fact that there's no overhead. So, you know, move the country to start a business, go move to Thailand, you know, dropping out of work to do things. I feel like people make a lot of decisions, yeah, because they're seeing other people do it. And in reality, I don't think people are making enough smart decisions, if I'm being honest.
What would an example of a smart decision be?
So, you know, like, I just think this, honestly, I just feel like these next 10 years to be so revealing. I just feel like the sort of social media happening here that isn't real. Do you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people are living a lie on social media. And so I feel like in terms of changing now, yeah, I feel like there's a lot of fluff. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of fluff, which is affect people because they feel as though they're behind the lie because, you know, there's some people. I think, I think there's a lot of lack of honesty. That's how I think. A lot of lack of honesty. And I think the biggest change here is that lack of honesty, where you got like AI and deep fakes. So now you can make a whole video about somebody like that's easier than them. You got people that can have a whole lifestyle for who they are just from social media behind the picture they post. There's so much out there, so much of life is. I just feel like life right now is generally so. Do you know what I mean? Like even now, look at things like P Diddy, and you know, in the past 20 years, people look to him a certain way. And like, yeah, that this whole time he's not who they thought they were. So I believe that we're in a generation of like fake. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like back in the day, yeah, something like P Diddy, for example, he probably wouldn't have been exposed as Angie because of the fact that, you know, no social media, no this, invisible part spreads. Whereas now, I'm not gonna lie, like we're in the generation now, yeah, of like strengths and the causes will get exposed.
Which in a way sounds like a good thing, but that doesn't change the fact that so many people are trying to be someone that they are not because they're looking up to people who they think are who they are, and those people are also not who they look to be. They're not actually who they look to be. And it begs a question. You mentioned earlier, you know, when you look at yourself in the mirror, what do you see? Basically was like the thought that you posed. If what you look at in the mirror is someone you're not happy with, and as a result, you lean more into fakeness, and then you have a moment like maybe listening to this show and you realize that you're even more unhappy because you've been leaning into fakeness instead of being authentic, what do we do about it?
No, yeah, and this is kind of in the book. So as humans, you know, we're not actually mentally built to know we're like 160 people.
Yes, yeah.
Like, you know, there's a lot of research going into this, whereas like if you look at like villages back in the day, naturally a village will break off at 150. So, you know, if you look at like ancient Egypt or, you know, ancient Africa or even Africa today, naturally speaking, when a village gets around 150 people in size, it tends to break into a new tribe. And that's just what we've seen throughout eternity for a very, very long time. Do you know what I mean? So humans aren't actually built to know 150 people. But now we live in a generation now where people got 1,000 followers, they're following 1,000 people, following 2,000 people. So now that's out the window. Especially if you've got personal brands, it's even more window. So I feel like the biggest thing with that Gen Z to do, and I do, is block out the noise. So now I'm looking at the Instagram, all these things, I literally block out the noise. I'm just so like opinions, like, so I've been viral on social media. I don't need the comments. I don't need that many people give me their opinion on me. I just don't. Yeah. It's not healthy. So I think now it's like, when you mentioned about how like, oh, this person, this person, this, just block it all out. Find 2 or 3, 4 people that you listen to, and that's it. Like even me, like to the point in time, yeah, I got overwhelmed with all these influencers that would give me advice. I said, you know what? Only Gary Vee. That's it. Only Gary Vee. And I mean that. And now, I don't listen to anybody. I don't listen to anybody. I'm in the mentorship group I'm in now, yeah. I ask them for advice. I don't really listen to anybody else because otherwise it's overwhelming. So I think to answer the question before, I'm not actually the answer to it. But the difference is now, yeah, it's an overload of information. People telling you to do this, do this, do this. He's doing that. He's doing that. He's doing that. He's giving you your opinion. He's putting your social media. He's giving you a hate comment. Block it all out. go on a walk, leave your phone at home. I
Mm.
think that the closer we get here to our humanity, the more human we can be, the more powerful we are. And I feel like I always had to keep in touch with my human. And I don't want to know 150 people. I don't want to read my comment section. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to follow X amount of people. I don't really listen to podcasts anymore, to be honest, because right now my life is already busy as enough as it is. Information overload. I think right now we're in an age of information overload, which is good, but you got to really be intentional with how you take information. And understand that our bodies are not built to know more than 150 people.
Got you. So go touch grass. Unfollow almost everybody. Don't read the comments.
Yeah, you can follow them, but you don't have to follow them. That makes sense. Like, like having to spend loads of time on social media, or like with me, I love about social media. So I was told that
Oh, you manually log out every
I
day.
turned off all my notifications on the past 4 years. I've turned off all my information, all my notifications on Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn. I only see notification when I choose to go on these apps. It's in my control. I won't be driving and see notification from somebody that I don't want to talk to. You know what I mean? I'll basically give them.
We have so much control over our devices that we so often don't use, right? That makes it feel like they have control over us instead of us controlling them. And there's a concept I learned when I was younger, trying to do business and, dealing with a number of strong personalities, let's say, that we all have a power within us, and whatever is the primary influence is where we have placed that power. So for example, if you're my boss at work and you give me that kind of critical feedback, like you gave an example of earlier, it just it depresses me. It really gets me down. It's totally ruined my day, whatever. What I have done is I had empowerment and I gave it to you. I empowered you to have power over me. Empowered, right? I empowered you. You now have the power over me. And the skill is to take back that power by empowering ourselves to make the decisions that we want. So you can still give me that feedback, but now I'm empowered to respond, right? I can't control my outer world, but I can control how I respond, right? You can't control the ocean, but you can learn to ride the waves. That is a real mindset shift, though, as well as the practicality to take back that power, to see when someone does that, my power is within myself. And I'm almost not sure how I would encourage someone to take that power back or keep it for themselves before giving it. Does that make sense?
I think we need to get to the point here where I think we look at last year and we can't get sucked into last. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm gonna come back a little bit.
Okay.
I think you need to see me. Whenever life gets really tough for you, I just do. It doesn't actually matter. So I mean, all this it doesn't actually matter. It's all fake. You know what I mean? I feel like when you understand it, that a lot of things in life it doesn't actually matter. When you think about humanity now, we are a tiny speck on the spectrum of humanity. If you look at the whole timeline of the human race, we are the smallest dot in that. When we look at the world, right, Earth is the tiniest speck of a galaxy, which is one galaxy out of millions of galaxies. We are literally millions. Well, your life doesn't matter anywhere near what you think about us. So I think whenever we get overwhelmed, you know what I'm saying? I feel like whenever we get overwhelmed, you still come back to the angle of we don't actually matter that much. Our problems don't actually matter as much as you think it does. It's not the end of the world. You know what I'm saying? It generally doesn't matter that much. I think so that's why I urge leave from home, go on a walk. Or go and play football with your friends. Go and laugh with your friends. And you'll realize that lots of things to worry about don't actually matter. What really matters is how you feel, the laughter, all these other things. We get sucked into life too much. I feel like whenever you're overwhelmed, you've got to remind yourself that, because even you mentioned opinions, right? That's something yourself. Who's giving you opinions? And honestly, I feel like the best advice I can give you is to be so intentional with who you let into, with what you let into your mind. So intentional. Anyone give you, maybe get 1 or 2 people to give you criticism. You don't need 10, 15 people to give you criticism. You're going to get overwhelmed. You don't need 10, 15 podcasts. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to follow 10 influencers. Find one person that's where you want to get to you. Follow him. Get a feedback from people who are where you want to be. You don't need your mom, your aunt, your brother, your sibling, your friend, that friend, your school friend. You don't need that many people giving you their opinion. You don't. You need to be good at cancelling out the noise and being tunnel vision. I honestly believe it. It's too. I feel like we're in a generation now. It's information overloads, and you need to be very intentional with where you get your information from. And I am very intentional with who gets information. I am very intentional with who I let into my life. Like I went viral the other day. I broke all my secondary school friends because they're all, hey, you know, my fashion from that side, and I blocked everybody. I just blocked them. I took get out my life. I blocked it because it's a lot. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you need to get very good at blocking out the noise.
Yeah.
That's like there's one celebration of football where it's like this. Whoever does it. And I love it. Because it's like block up the noise. Like what is your goal? Anything else doesn't matter. Block it all out and just and anybody that's in your way, block them out as well. And it might sound crazy, but if you don't do that, you're gonna turn into Japanese.
You know, one of the things I appreciate so much that I'll say that I accidentally stumbled into it. There's an argument to be made that we attract these kind of things to ourselves. But anyway, for the sake of the conversation, I kind of accidentally stumbled into a life where I have a very small group of close friends and we're all very different. But if I were to do something like start this podcast show or one of them wants to start a business, we all just like support however we can. We might not even be able to support that much. We just do. And it makes a big difference compared to the people that I see where it's negativity from those so-called friends, because that becomes your reality and it just feels heavy. But you know what you said that I love so much is this sense of freedom that comes with realizing that it's all a game.
100%.
You know what I mean? And there's a saying, I don't know where I heard it, but it's a kind of whimsical like expression that all of life's a play and all the world's a stage. So fuck it.
I love it. And it was one poem that I loved when I read the book one time, and I can't remember the whole poem yet, but the end was so powerful. They said, "Listen to the music before the song's over. Listen to the music before the song's over."
While it's still playing, while you're
Exactly.
there in the
Because
moment.
give me a time, and this little thing I've put into me as well. I'm not young forever. I'm 24 now. Yeah, I feel like I was 20. I mean, before I know I'm 30, before I know I'm 60. You know what I mean? Before I know I'm gonna be 80. Like my dad turned 60 and they're scaring the life out of me. You know what I'm saying? 60 last year, they're scaring the shit out of me. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, at some point, you need to enjoy the music. I feel like if you're so much in your own head, I always think about this from that problem, you're gonna miss out on the music. Do you know what I mean? That's gonna be your biggest regret, not listening to the music while you're there. I urge, people do things, to their fullest. Like, if you're gonna date that girl, put your phone away and enjoy that moment. If you're working, work. Like, I feel like the best advice to anybody, is to if you're doing deeply. If you're gonna walk now, take it seriously. Don't go to walk here to think about your business problem. Leave your phone at home, but go to walk here and actually look at the trees and the nature and the songs and the birds. Like, do anything you can, to the fullest. I think that's the best advice I can give, is like, live to the fullest that you can. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the show so far. I just wanted to take one quick sec to ask you for a huge favor. If you've been appreciating the show, the guests, the lessons, the journey we've been on, then the best way you can help out, to help me and help everybody else listening to this, is to subscribe to the show wherever you are. YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you're watching the show, hit the subscribe or follow or whatever other button and all the bells and icons, whatever else you're happy to keep up to date with the show, hear about new episodes as soon as they launch, and help us to grow and reach more people. I know you've heard this before, but it's because it really does help. It really would help out and makes the world of difference to me. So thank you in advance. And honestly, I really appreciate you. And one final quick note here. I wanted to draw your attention to my free weekly newsletter discussing a variety of topics to do with leadership development and discovery over on Substack. I'm always so humbled by all of the kind words of support I've received over the years from people reading my newsletters about how interesting or helpful that they've been. So if you want that extra hit of the thought-provoking conversation once a week, then you can find that in the show notes down below. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And let's get it. Do you think our education system needs to change? Yes. Yeah.
How and why?
Oh my God, where do I start? So first of all, the quick history lesson. So The education system was actually built for the industrial revolution. Because when we had factories, we needed to all be the same. Because if you work in a factory, you can't afford to have people that are different. Because that's how you have big injuries. A factory is very systematic. You do this, you all do that. You can't not do that because I will ruin the whole system. So the school system was set up in a way where everyone needs to be the exact same. Dress the same, you learn the same, you have the same information. And also what that meant was as well, that if somebody gets sick, the easy replaceable is interchangeable. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, people were set up in a way where if somebody's sick, you can come out like in the factory. It's like that. It's like in the factory where it's like, a good example is if you look at a screw, all the screws in the world are the same. Do you know what I mean? So the screwdriver fits each one. If every single screw was different, then the screwdriver, you need a different screwdriver for each. But they thought, let's make each screw the same, so that if I lose one screw, I can buy another screw and it still fits like the exact same. Same, the other kind of humans, that if you're a factory worker, that factory worker is sick. We don't want him to be so valuable that when he's sick, now he can't be replaced. So we want to be thinking like, he can be ill, he slots out, we'll put another human in, and they move to the same education system that he slots in very, very neatly. World's changed, as you can imagine now. We've got problems out here that can't be fixed by bottom level thinkers. Do you know what I mean? Like things like climate change is a real issue. We're on the brink of World War III. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're at a cost of living crisis. Not gonna lie, the average price in UK in London is like what, 200k, and the average salary is like 30k. In order to make more money, you need to become valuable. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't afford now, to just be cogs in the system. For yourself, if you want to survive, number one, but also for humanity, we need to have some valuable members in our society now. That are gonna actually change what we think. So I mean, otherwise we're gonna be in trouble. So I don't think school encourages independent thought. I don't think it encourages people that can solve problems. That's the first thing. I think that we're encouraged everyone to wear the same uniform, but all taught the same things. Don't be yourself. Don't be innovative. When in reality, we need to be producing innovation in school. Do you know what I mean? The second thing is school is so backwards. I just spent I just focus on showing you that I am not such as anybody else yet. I just made loads of mistakes, not from them. And the mistakes that hurt the most are the mistakes that helped me grow. School teaches you, if you make a mistake, you're a failure. If you get a D, you're a failure. You're not going to achieve anything in your life, which is the complete opposite way to live your life, which is why people go to the real world and make zero mistakes. Because they were taught in school, if you make a mistake, you're a failure. But you got to make as many mistakes as possible.
And it's terrifying because you're labeled a failure. So it's not, I failed at this. It's in my being that I am a failure. Wow. And that terrifies us. That ancient brain within us is just terrified.
I used to fully think that because if I don't get a certain grade in school, I am so such a failure. When it actually doesn't actually matter. You think that your grades don't actually matter that much. Number one, but number two, it's like the world doesn't work like that. The world works with the fact that you need to fail in order to go. Like, even if you look at the human race here, or even race in general, and look at evolution. Evolution is built with failure. It's built with the fact that people, like animals, species, have certain genes. These genes are more beneficial to my life than these genes. These genes will die. These genes will keep going. So these genes failed in order for this gene to keep going forwards. That makes sense. That's literally how, as a species, we're built off failure. Whereas school teaches us here that if we fail, we are a failure. I'm going to well, just go to fail, scared to fail. Reality, we need to be encouraging people to go out there and take a risk, and they might fail, at least you learn from it. So school don't do that at all. And so that's a couple of things where I feel like the education system is absolutely on its knees. And then now you look at it from a deeper level, because at university now, whereas even though university, you take on 34k in debt and learn to get a job, but at the end of it, you're in debt to the job. The people getting a job, the people with experience. So the whole system is set up for, it's actually so funny where I feel like the school is set up in a way, which if it was moving you further away to what will actually be successful, it's the opposite of what it's built for.
Well, you know what? The thing is, like, that would suggest that it was done intentionally. I think what's happened is these things had intentions at the beginning, like you described, and then continued to be updated, quote unquote, but in silos that served them, which meant that the result we get at the end is actually not very good. And it's an interesting distinction because I'm reading Morgan Housel's book right now, The Psychology of Money, and he makes a really good example, or uses a really good example of Rockefeller in the early 1900s. His job was mostly to think, right? He was basically a knowledge worker, but at a day where almost all of his employees would have been laborers, almost no one would have been a knowledge worker. And now it's flipped. Almost all of our jobs look more like his. We're all knowledge workers, almost all of us, especially in a city like we're in, like London. Entrepreneurs doing the kind of thing that you're doing. It's all knowledge work. That looks a lot more like that, but the system was still exists as if 80-90% of people were laborers instead of the other way around. And that means we're 100-ish years out of date, but these things have all existed in their little silos. And what that means is people get into the companies, despite all those challenges, eventually you still get into a company, not very experienced, not sure if it's even right for you. And your employer is reporting that actually no one who really joins my company is prepared for the world of work.
Yeah.
So that begs a question. The education system can do its bit. What can or should employers be doing? Do employers need to be supporting their young leaders differently? Do they need to be supporting their existing leaders differently, or changing even what they're doing in and around leadership themselves?
Yes.
Um,
I just feel like it feels almost like the blinds leading the blinds almost to a point. But I've got, I'll use an example. I've got a friend, right? And he works at a company, and he's got Gen Z to have a side hustle. And the way I feel like when you're a futurist thinker, you see a Gen Z side hustle or playing side hustle, and you think, how can I leverage that? So, for example, if my employee is got photography, how can I leverage that in my own business? Maybe take money on photographers externally. I've got someone in my organization that does it. Where this person in general, it's almost as if they want him to stop doing anything else he's doing other than work, not realizing that what he does outside of work is going to help him grow as a person, also the company as a result. But because they can't see it, then it's just him. So it's almost like the blind leads the blind.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the people that you rely on to be able to see that can't see it. So now they're depressing him, and it doesn't work for anybody. So I just feel like, I don't know how we're going to get there, but I just think that the people that are teaching or raising us aren't giving us the best. I feel like we all had, times where the elders or again a bad boss are giving us advice we shouldn't follow. Even look at gang culture, whereas people are leading people down the wrong way. So I feel like employees have got a massive role to understand, that you are raising your talent and you need to raise them. Do you know what I mean? And I think that, I just feel like right now it's a massive case of the blind leading the blind. And it's almost as if you need to educate their employers on how to manage the employee.
It's really interesting because it's this idea that no one knows what they're doing. Literally, name someone who actually knows what they're doing. Someone who says they know what they're doing. I have all these years of experience in my industry, but then is that actually just you, or is that just that person making up for that lack of confidence because we haven't been the masters in the savannah for very long, like we said earlier, right? At what point do you actually confident? At what point do you actually know what you're doing?
This is what I mean. It's like I said, social media, we live in a fake era where people can lead any sort of life. And it's sometimes I can see people give advice that I just don't agree with. I'm like, it's terrible advice because he bought a nice car with no one to where he bought it from. People wouldn't listen. So I mean, I feel like that's a big realization I've got as I got older. And honestly, when I was in school, it really bothered me, even from 14 years old, where in school year, especially my school, I'm not sure I was the best kid in school year, but I didn't like to have a fact teachers can never be wrong. I said, how does that make any sense? How can a teacher? I said, everybody's wrong in life. And I feel like, but when I was in school year, also, it used to bother me that it felt as though, a teacher can never be wrong. I know you probably felt that way, where they can never make any mistakes. I always said, I would respect the teacher more if they owned their mistakes. But it was always as if a teacher could never be wrong.
It's these unspoken rules of power that govern the way we live because the people using those laws of power think that that's how we need to live, or how things work. This is how things work. I need to maintain my essence of power, or my feigning of having power.
But I think a real leader is someone that can accept that when they are wrong. That will make me respect. I'll make everyone respect you so much more. And I do believe that is what we need to lean towards more. Was like we've got leaders now that are scared to even be wrong. Do you know what I mean? They're shifting the blame for people. I spoke recently about how like there's a factory, and the factory is failing because people are so scared to fail and make mistakes. When they did make a mistake, they hid it. So it will just compounding. But in reality, the factory actually end up doing better when they allow like an open policy, whereas when you make mistakes, you can report it and we can fix it. But I feel like we're creating a society here where everybody is scared to fail, and everyone doing the behind the scenes. So I mentioned earlier how a lot of Disney got side hustles now. So what's happened because a bad boss is making them feel bad for having that. Now they're hiding the side hustle now, which is causing even deeper. So I just feel like there's so much fakeness in the world, and it's just compounding now, where no one actually knows what the hell anyone's doing or what's going on, and just disaster. You know what I mean? I don't want to be negative. I really don't want to be negative because there's some amazing things out there, but from what I've seen on an everyday basis, I just feel like everything is so fake. That people are hiding behind certain things. And I just feel like, honestly, I just feel like the whole world is hurt, man. And I feel like hurt people. And I just feel like, and the reason why I feel like everyone's hurt is because no one's really honest about their pain, which is why I've always tried to be as vulnerable as possible to show other people that, look, as an entrepreneur, if you're watching this, I've been broke as an entrepreneur. Like, I'm telling you now, I've been broke. So that when you're broke now, you've been through that, you know it's normal, it's a part of the game. I'm not going to sit here and just talk about achievements. I don't want to do that because that's not real. That's not honest, that's not real life. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not real, and I feel like everyone's being so fake. And I feel like we need more vulnerability, more people to be honest. And I don't be vulnerable, so as a sub, people need to be vulnerable so people can see that you're not alone in what you've been through. Like the other day, I put a video on social media about how like I want to be a footballer, and I had some academies that wanted to assign me a scab at a time. But actually, the reason why I feel like my growth in football was haunted because my dad, he doesn't support me as I feel like he should have supported me. That's not me saying I hate my dad. But when I post that video, people comment saying, "Oh my God, the same thing," because our problems aren't unique. But what's giving people more pain and more hurt is they feel as though their problems are unique when it's not. I feel like we need more of that vulnerability in the world. We need more, less fakeness and more realness. But social media just made things become so fake. But everyone thinks that everything's so perfect. We need more people that can go on the camera and say, "Look, I've been there. I know what you feel like. I was in that position as well." When we have that, people will feel less alone in their pain because they'll know that they're not alone. I feel like right now everyone just feels so alone.
Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
Yeah.
That's Oscar Wilde. And I think it speaks so much to what you're describing there. We're looking to others to solve our problems. We're looking to what we think others are to be that. But, I recently went through an experience, and a wise man I met doing that gave me this beautiful analogy where he said, imagine there's a big, beautiful tree over there, and let's say it's an orange tree or something, and you're a baby tree over here, and you're looking to that, and you go, I want to be like that orange tree. And you grow up, and instead of producing oranges, you naturally start growing something else, like apples. But because it's not what you wanted it to be, you're beating yourself up for it. But you might be a different tree to that tree over there. I'm a different tree to you. And if I was trying to be exactly like you, I'd be in deep shit because we're not meant to be the same tree. We're different trees with different fruits that maybe grow at different paces.
But even more importantly, we have our own problems. That orange tree, of course, the only problem is the apple tree. The apple tree, looking at the orange tree thinking, "Oh, you're so orange and beautiful." When in reality, the orange tree, it hates the fact that, it can't make, like, it's sour. Orange is going to be so sour.
Sure, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Or like, it's got some skin, it's inedible. Do you know what I mean? So like, everyone's got their own unique problems. I think that's the key of like understanding that one real race. I thought it was saying, I think it was ego is the enemy. And I feel like it almost changed my life what this was saying was, but some along the lines of everyone's running their own race for their own different reasons. Like, it's not one race. Everyone's got their own individual race. And it's something like I use as well. It's like when people say, I always look at, I might look at someone that's really successful, I say if somebody's a millionaire because he's a tennis player. And I also, so you might say to me, oh, Austin, that guy's like, Roger Federer, he's got so much money, so successful. And I'm looking in your eye, I'm like, do you want to be a tennis player? They'll be like, no. So I'm like, why are you comparing yourself to him when you don't even want to be what he, you don't even want to do what he does? I think that's the biggest thing was like, you got to understand now, yeah, that everyone's got their own unique problems. Everybody, like, everyone's got their own issues, more money, more problem, you know, like, when you, every problem, everyone's got issues right now. Everyone's got issues. I feel like what people need to understand here that, you know, everyone actually has issues, no matter what it is, everyone's got their own problem. And there's understanding the fact that everyone's on their own risk for their own reasons. And what somebody has, they have it. But like they've got their own, they run their own race here for their own unique reasons, which is different to your race. Do you know what I mean? So like I'm running my race right now, yeah, doing what I want to do. And I'm happy in doing what I'm doing. Whereas I might see someone that's, say for example, they might have more aircraft followers than me, because they have a food page. But do I want to make food content? No. So what's the relevant? Because they might want more followers, but I don't want to make their content. I'm making content that I want to make. Do you know what I mean? So really, yeah, it's a race with yourself. It really is.
It's that concept that the only person worth comparing yourself to is yourself in 10 years. And the goalpost will keep moving. So it's always 10 years from now or whatever works for you. But comparing yourself to someone else is just so pointless, right? So as we start to come to a close, those are some of the challenges that are faced by young people, some of the aspirations that a lot of young people have, some of the challenges in the systems like education and corporate. But how are young people changing those systems? What are you noticing that young people are showing up with that is changing the way the systems that maybe aren't really good enough are operating and maybe hopefully making them better?
Well, honestly, what I think, yeah, people see young people entitled. I don't think entitled. I think young people aren't putting up any bullshit. But the other day, yeah, I saw a tweet about how Gen Zs will apply for a job if the salary is in this job description. And then I put it on my LinkedIn to get people's thoughts. Like people that weren't Gen Z much older were saying how like I wouldn't do that either. I think that they're like, if I apply for a job, long apply for a job, go through the whole application process just to find out that this salary isn't even worth what I want it to be. I don't apply either. So the thing of like everyone's got the same problems, but I think because Gen Z naturally have more options, then they decide to put up with it. So I think even with me, like Gen Z are a lot more outspoken because they know the fact that, you know, like the fact that the privilege, just the reason why Gen Z cannot apply to a job because that showing the salary is because there's so many more jobs that they can apply to. Whereas 20 years ago, you probably had a handful of options. Now we've got hundreds of options. So even that in itself is a privilege itself. I think with Gen Z now, we are at a point, because of how many options you have now, I'm not saying it's easy for us, but we do have more options. We're less likely to put up with things. So if you work at a place now, you've got a boss you don't like, you're less likely to want to leave. So you're more likely to be able to leave because you've got more options. Especially if you're talented. If you're talented, you've got even more options. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's what it is now, where it's like these are less likely to put up with things that previous generations would put up with because of the fact you've got more options.
Well, do you know what? I think the word entitlement, I think it's a reframe we can make for the word entitlement. The guest I spoke to on the first episode that we're releasing on the show, he and I were chatting about how you can act entitled without acting like a jerk. That's his way of saying it. And basically, it's actually that saying earlier that I mentioned earlier of, if you believe you deserve a seat at the table, you do.
Mm.
In my observation, I think is very similar to yours, is a lot of younger people, they go, if we should have a seat at the table, then why should we put up with other people's bullshit? Sometimes maybe there's a line that gets crossed where you need to admit what you don't know and be able to take feedback. So it can drift, in my experience, towards being a bit unhelpful. But it's that baseline of, if this isn't okay, we shouldn't just put up and shut up, which is challenging, especially for the British as well. Coming from the US, the British are very put up and shut up, you know? I think there's a bit of a shift that's that's started to come now in working culture and in life, where you can kind of be a bit more honest and authentic. But that's kind of ironic because there's also a lot of that fakeness you mentioned earlier.
Well, I know, and I feel like something that I've definitely done more of. Like, I feel like when you understand, because when you're younger, you honestly think that all the people will all figured out. But as I got older, I realized that you don't actually know what you're doing. I don't actually can with you. Kind of move on to speak up more. So I'm saying, so yeah, and obviously it's a privilege. I feel like a lot of things comes from privilege. I'm not gonna lie, like, I feel like so many things come. I feel like the reason why over honest about this, I feel like the reason why I'm able to do certain things is because I come from a good home. So like, the fact that, and like this is, it's real. Like, I know that maybe I know to take a job out of university and take the risk of entrepreneurship. I know that my parents don't need money from me. Whereas there's people that can't afford to not take a risk. They need. So I feel like, I think with Gen Z are privileged. Not obviously everybody in these circumstances. The privileged on an angle, they got more options. So with more privilege, the more opportunity comes more entitlement in that regard. So as I said, being able to not apply for a job, not on a salary, is a privilege that we have now as Gen Zs that previous generation didn't have. I mean, and the privilege to, they call it job hopping. The privilege to job hop, that's a privilege. To be able to move job is a privilege, and we have now because we can be on LinkedIn and get a DM from a headhunter who wants to hire us. Well, the privilege to quite quickly is a privilege, because maybe you can quite quit knowing that you've got a side hustle that's giving you some income, that's giving you some joy and passion. So I think Gen Zs have got privileges from the nature of the world and the landscape that is expressed, it might look like entitlement, but in reality, it's just the privilege of the world you grew up in. So a lot of things is a cause of their privilege. So job hopping is because you've got another option to go to. That's what job hopping is. So the privilege, if there was no job to go to, you couldn't job hop. You know what I'm saying? Not applying for a job means that you've got another option elsewhere. Not applying for a job because you don't get a salary means that there's other jobs that are less than the salary that you wouldn't apply to. Whereas in every single job in the world to get a salary, you're forced to apply for jobs that don't get a salary. But saying that I'm not gonna apply to them because there's no salary on the description, that's a privilege, but it means there's other jobs that are offering that. I think Gen Z have got a bit more privilege, which can be expressed as entitlement.
I've got a theory that being able to take more risk creates more opportunity for everyone, for the person taking it and for the economy or country or whatever on a whole. And a lot of us can't take that risk right now.
Because it comes with privilege. Risk in itself is privilege.
Yeah,
I think that's a very good point. Which is why, like, that's the thing with the economy is all with things like like we want more risk takers, because the economy is such a bad way right now. People can't really take a risk and they move jobs. For example, like you might not eat, and it might even come in the right perform, whereas you might be in a job right now and you're getting bullied by your boss or something like that, but you can't take the risk to speak up for yourself because you can't afford to lose your job right now. That is a real angle. So I know people don't understand, a lot of things actually come from people. I wish I've learned like got older, which is why we can't be too harsh on people that aren't doing certain things because they might have the privilege to do certain things. And I can't even look at diversity, inclusion, and things like being a black person, all that kind of things that ties into it, because certain things that a black person can get away with, but certain things that a white person can get away with, a black person can't. Do you know what I mean? That they can't take as many risks, which means they might not grow as much as you like to grow. So it's really interesting how it manifests.
This has been a really sobering and inspiring and energizing conversation for me. So this has been really cool, man. Thank you for that. I've got a ending question, a final question I like to ask all of my guests. The show is called Lost and Searching. And so I'd love to know, are there any answers in life that you are still searching for?
All of them, Cause I don't think life has an answer. Because even if you look at science, for example, the way science works is the fact that there's no definitive answer to science. It's just the most probable reason at this moment. So we assume that, this and that are particles, but until we get further research that might overlook that, we use that in research. So no one actually knows. We just have the best theory. That makes sense. So right now, I don't actually know whether or not Uncle Amit is the best way possible, but I'm using the evidence I have at the moment to do that. And I think in saying that, that's the beauty of life. The fact that we don't know. That's what makes it worthwhile. That's something that business is worthwhile doing. Knowing that you want to start this business, it might work, it might not work. But that's what makes it fun, but it does work. If you knew you didn't start something yet and it's 100% going to work, then what's the point?
What would be the point
Where's
of
the
life?
energy in it? So I feel like
There's no sense of discovery in
100%. I'm always lost, I'm trying to think how I'm going to grow my business, how I'm going to grow my personal brand, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. I'm lost in it. I'm searching. I'm hoping that my current philosophy is going to work out, but I don't know. But I think that's the beauty of life, knowing that you don't actually know. You don't need to know. And if you did know, it wouldn't be anywhere near as fun.
I love that. That's such a beautiful note to end on, man. Look, I really appreciate you for coming down, for giving me your time. We only have so much time in our lives. You've given me some of that resource to share with the listeners and with myself as I grow this show. I've said this a few times already, but on the episodes, but when you're in that early position, all you have is that bit of reputation with those folks in your network. And it just means a lot that we've given all of us in that time. So thank you so much. Appreciate you coming.
Stay challenging.
Appreciate you, bro.
Good sir, man.